This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We simply analyze the use of weapons and other props in movies from a historical and cinematic perspective. This content does not in any way promote violence or advocate the misuse of weapons. Viewer discretion is advised. Directed by Brian De Palma, Carlito's Way is a masterpiece of crime cinema that doesn't get nearly the recognition it deserves. This 1993 film starring Al Pacino as Carlito Brigante, a Puerto Rican ex-con trying to go straight in 1970s New York, is a tragic tale of a man who can't escape his past no matter how hard he tries. The film grossed over $63 million worldwide and features some of the most intense gunfight sequences of the 90s. But what makes Carlito's Way particularly interesting from a firearms perspective is how the weapons reflect the gritty reality of 1970s street crime. These aren't flashy Hollywood guns. They're the real weapons that criminals and cops actually carried in that era. From compact revolvers to sawed-off shotguns, every firearm in this film tells a story about survival, betrayal, and the violent world Carlito is desperately trying to leave behind. So let's break down the guns of Carlito's Way, because in De Palma's New York, one wrong move can get you killed. The Colt Detective Special, Carlito's reluctant companion. Let's start with the most significant firearm in Carlito's Way, the Colt Detective Special that Carlito carries throughout much of the film. This compact six-shot revolver is the perfect weapon for a man who doesn't want to carry a gun but knows he might need one. The Colt Detective Special was introduced way back in 1927 as a shortened version of Colt's police-positive revolver. It features a 2-inch barrel and is chambered in .38 Special, making it one of the most popular concealed carry revolvers in American history. The gun holds 6 rounds, which gave it a capacity advantage over the 5-shot Smith & Wesson Chiefs Special that came along later. What made the Detective Special so popular was its combination of concealability, capacity, and the Colt name. Colt had been making quality revolvers since the 1800s, and their reputation for quality was unmatched. The Detective Special became the go-to gun for plainclothes detectives, hence the name, as well as off-duty officers, private investigators, and anyone else who needed a reliable concealed carry weapon. The gun features a double-action trigger, meaning you can either cock the hammer manually for a lighter, more accurate shot, or just pull through the double-action trigger for faster shooting. The .38 Special cartridge it fires is a proven man-stopper that's been used by law enforcement for over a century. It's not the most powerful round out there, but at typical self-defense distances, we're talking 7 to 15 feet, it's absolutely effective. In Carlito's Way, the Detective Special represents Carlito's internal conflict. He's trying to go straight, trying to leave the criminal life behind and save enough money to escape to the Bahamas with his girlfriend Gail. But he knows the streets of New York are dangerous, especially for someone with his reputation. The compact revolver is his compromise, small enough to forget about, powerful enough to save his life if things go sideways. We see Carlito's Detective Special in several key scenes throughout the film. He carries it tucked into his waistband, hidden under his jacket. It's always there, a constant reminder that no matter how much he wants to go straight, violence is never far away. The gun represents the weight of his past and the reality that in his world, you can't just walk away from the life. What's brilliant about De Palma's direction is how he uses the Detective Special to build tension. We know Carlito has the gun. We know he's capable of using it. But we also know that every time he pulls it out, he's taking a step back toward the life he's trying to escape. The revolver becomes a symbol of his struggle. He needs it to survive, but using it means he's failed to leave his past behind. The Smith & Wesson Model 10, the cop's standard. Another revolver that appears prominently in Carlito's Way is the Smith & Wesson Model 10, which we see in the hands of various police officers throughout the film. By the 1970s, when this movie takes place, the Model 10 was still the most common police service weapon in America. The Smith & Wesson Model 10, originally called the Military and Police Revolver, is a 6-shot, medium-frame revolver chambered in .38 Special. It was introduced in 1899, and by the 1970s, it had been the standard by which all other police revolvers were measured for decades. More Model 10s have been produced than any other revolver in history, over 6 million units. The gun typically features a 4-inch barrel, though it was also available in 2-inch, 3-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch barrel lengths. It uses a traditional double-action trigger system and was known for being reliable, accurate, easy to maintain, and chambered in a cartridge that was effective without being overpowered. In Carlito's way, the Model 10 represents the legitimate side of law enforcement, though the film makes it clear that not all cops are on the up and up. We see corrupt officers carrying Model 10s, showing that the weapon doesn't make the man, it's how you use it that matters. The presence of the Model 10 in the film adds authenticity to the 1970s setting, when this revolver would have been ubiquitous among New York City police officers. The Beretta 92, a sign of the times. While revolvers dominate much of Carlito's way, we also see some semi-automatic pistols, including what appears to be a Beretta 92. Now, this is interesting from a historical perspective because the Beretta 92 was just starting to gain popularity in the United States in the early 1980s, right around when the film was made, though the story takes place in the mid-1970s. The Beretta 92 is a 9mm semi-automatic pistol that holds 15 rounds in the magazine. It features an open slide design and a slide-mounted safety that also functions as a decocker. The gun was adopted by the U.S. military as the M9 in 1985, which created a huge ripple effect throughout law enforcement and the civilian market. In Carlito's way, the appearance of semi-automatic pistols like the Beretta represents the transition that was happening in the firearms world during the 1970s and early 1980s. Law enforcement was beginning to move away from revolvers toward higher-capacity semi-automatics. Criminals were making the same transition, recognizing that 15 rounds beat 6 rounds in a gunfight. The Beretta's presence in the film, while perhaps slightly anachronistic for the mid-1970s setting, shows the changing landscape of street violence. The old-school criminals like Carlito still carry revolvers, while the younger generation is moving towards semi-automatics with higher capacity and faster reloads. The sawed-off shotgun, the ultimate intimidation tool. One of the most memorable firearms in Carlito's way is the sawed-off shotgun that appears during the pool hall confrontation. This weapon represents raw, brutal power and the kind of violence that Carlito is trying to avoid. A sawed-off shotgun is exactly what it sounds like. A shotgun with the barrel cut down to a much shorter length, typically 12 to 18 inches or even shorter. The stock is also usually cut down or removed entirely, leaving just a pistol grip. This modification makes the shotgun much more compact and easier to conceal, though it also makes it less accurate at longer ranges. What makes a sawed-off shotgun so devastating is the spread pattern at close range. With those short barrels, the shot pattern opens up very quickly, making it almost impossible to miss at typical room distances. A sawed-off shotgun loaded with buckshot is absolutely lethal at ranges up to about 20 yards. Each shell contains multiple pellets, usually 933 caliber pellets in double-aught buckshot, essentially giving you 9 projectiles with each trigger pull. The downside of a sawed-off shotgun is that it's illegal under federal law unless you pay a $200 tax and register it with the ATF. The National Firearms Act of 1934 classified shotguns with barrels under 18 inches as restricted weapons. This means that anyone carrying a sawed-off shotgun is automatically committing a federal crime, which tells you something about the kind of people who carry them. In Carlito's way, the sawed-off shotgun appears during one of the film's most intense sequences, the pool hall confrontation where Carlito has to navigate a dangerous situation with rival criminals. The presence of the sawed-off shotgun immediately raises the stakes. This isn't a weapon for self-defense. It's a weapon for intimidation and overwhelming force. When someone pulls out a sawed-off shotgun, they're making a statement about their willingness to use extreme violence. The scene is brilliantly directed by De Palma, who uses the confined space of the pool hall to create claustrophobic tension. The sawed-off shotgun in that environment is terrifying because there's nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. One pull of the trigger and multiple people could be hit. Carlito's ability to navigate this situation without the violence escalating shows his intelligence and his desire to avoid bloodshed, even when surrounded by men who are eager for it. The Colt Python, the Cadillac of revolvers. Another revolver that makes an appearance in Carlito's way is the Colt Python, one of the most beautiful and sought-after revolvers ever made. This weapon appears in the hands of various characters throughout the film, representing the high-end firepower of 1970s criminals who had made it. The Colt Python is a double-action revolver chambered in .357 Magnum, holding 6 rounds. Introduced in 1955, the Python quickly became known as the Cadillac of revolvers. It features a ventilated rib on top of the barrel, adjustable sights, and a trigger pull so smooth it feels like breaking a glass rod. The gun was expensive, about twice the cost of a comparable Smith & Wesson, but shooters who could afford it swore by its accuracy and craftsmanship. The Python came in various barrel lengths: 2.5 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, and 8 inches, with the 4-inch and 6-inch models being the most popular. The gun is known for its distinctive appearance, with that ventilated rib and the royal blue finish that Colt was famous for. It's a gun that makes a statement. This isn't just a tool, it's a work of art. In Carlito's way, the Python represents status and power in the criminal underworld. This isn't a gun you buy because you need a weapon. You buy it because you want people to know you've made it. The Python's appearance in the film adds to the authenticity of the 1970s setting, when this revolver was at the peak of its popularity among both law enforcement and criminals who could afford the best. The .357 Magnum cartridge that the Python fires is significantly more powerful than the .38 Special. It can push a 125-grain bullet at over 1,400 feet per second, generating substantial energy and penetration. This made it popular with law enforcement officers who wanted more stopping power than the standard .38 Special could provide. The Walther PPK, the gentleman's gun. In one of the film's key scenes, we see a Walther PPK, the compact German pistol that became famous as James Bond's weapon of choice. The PPK's appearance in Carlito's way is brief but significant, representing a different class of criminal, the professional, the sophisticated operator. The Walther PPK, which stands for Polizeipistole, criminal model, police pistol detective model, was introduced in 1931 as a more compact version of the Walther PP. It's a blowback-operated, semi-automatic pistol, typically chambered in .380 ACP, though it was also available in .32 ACP. The gun holds 7 rounds in the magazine when chambered in .380 ACP. What made the PPK popular was its combination of compact size, reliability, and elegant design. The gun is only about 6 inches long and weighs just 21 ounces unloaded, making it perfect for concealed carry. It features a double-action/single-action trigger system and a manual safety/decocker on the slide. The PPK became famous in popular culture thanks to James Bond, but it was also a favorite of law enforcement officers, intelligence operatives, and criminals who appreciated quality firearms. In Carlito's way, the PPK represents a more refined approach to violence. This is a weapon for someone who thinks of themselves as a professional, not a street thug. The snub-nose .38 Special, the street gun. Throughout Carlito's way, we see various characters carrying snub-nose .38 Special revolvers, compact 5 or 6 shot revolvers with 2-inch barrels. These guns were ubiquitous in 1970s New York, carried by everyone from cops to criminals to cab drivers who needed protection. The snub-nose .38 Special represents the reality of street-level crime in 1970s New York. These weren't expensive guns or status symbols. They were practical tools for survival in a dangerous city. You could buy a used snub-nose revolver for a couple $100, tuck it in your waistband, and have a reliable weapon that would work when you needed it. What makes snub-nose revolvers so popular is their simplicity and reliability. There's no safety to fumble with, no slide to rack, no magazine to seat properly. You just point and pull the trigger. Revolvers don't jam, they don't fail to feed, and they work every single time. For someone who isn't a gun expert but needs protection, that reliability is worth its weight in gold. The downside of a snub-nose revolver is capacity. You only get 5 or 6 shots before you need to reload, and reloading a revolver is much slower than dropping a magazine and slapping in a fresh one. But for most self-defense situations, 5 or 6 shots is enough. If you can't solve your problem with 5 rounds of .38 Special, you've got bigger issues. In Carlito's way, these snub-nose revolvers appear in the hands of various street-level criminals and characters on the periphery of Carlito's world. They represent the everyday violence of the streets. the constant threat that Carlito faces as he tries to navigate his way out of the life. What makes Carlito's Way so brilliant from a firearms perspective is how Brian De Palma uses weapons to develop characters and tell the story. Carlito's Colt Detective Special represents his internal conflict. He doesn't want to be a criminal anymore, but he knows he needs protection. The gun is always there, a constant reminder of the violence he's trying to escape. The sawed-off shotgun in the pool hall represents the brutal, uncompromising violence of the criminal world. It's a weapon designed for one purpose: to kill multiple people quickly and efficiently. The fact that Carlito is able to navigate that situation without the violence escalating shows his intelligence and his growth as a character. The various revolvers and pistols carried by other characters tell us about their place in the criminal hierarchy. The guy with the Colt Python has made it. He's successful enough to afford the best. The guy with the beat-up snub-nosed .38 is still grinding on the streets, trying to survive day by day. One of the most memorable sequences in Carlito's Way is the extended chase through Grand Central Station, where Carlito is pursued by Benny Blanco's crew. This sequence showcases multiple firearms and demonstrates Carlito's desperation to escape his past. Throughout this chase, we see various characters drawing weapons: revolvers, semi-automatic pistols, even what appears to be a small-caliber pocket pistol. The variety of firearms reflects the chaotic nature of the criminal underworld. Everyone's armed, everyone's dangerous, and Carlito is caught in the middle, trying to make it to the train that represents his escape to a new life. De Palma's direction in this sequence is masterful. He uses the architecture of Grand Central Station, the escalators, the corridors, the crowds, to create a sense of claustrophobic tension. The firearms in this sequence aren't glamorized. They're tools of desperation, last resorts for men who have run out of options. Without spoiling too much for anyone who hasn't seen the film, the finale of Carlito's Way features several firearms in a sequence that's as tragic as it is violent. The weapons used in these final moments represent the ultimate failure of Carlito's attempt to escape his past. No matter how hard he tried, no matter how much he wanted to go straight, the violence of his former life caught up with him. What makes this finale so powerful is that the firearms aren't used in some elaborate shootout. The violence is sudden, brutal, and final. It's realistic in a way that most Hollywood films aren't. When someone pulls a trigger in Carlito's Way, there are real consequences. There's no dramatic slow motion, no heroic last stands. Just the cold reality of what happens when violence catches up with you. One of the things that makes Carlito's Way so effective is the attention to period detail, and that extends to the firearms. The weapons used in the film are appropriate for the mid-1970s setting. You're not going to see modern tactical gear or contemporary firearms that would break the immersion. The dominance of revolvers in the film reflects the reality of 1970s street crime. While semi-automatic pistols were available, revolvers were still the most common handguns carried by both law enforcement and criminals. The transition to high-capacity semi-automatics was just beginning, and the film captures that moment in firearms history. The choice of weapons like the Colt Detective Special, the Smith & Wesson Model 10, and the Colt Python all make perfect sense for the time period and the characters using them. These were the weapons that would have been available and commonly used in 1970s New York. The production team did their homework, and it shows in every frame. Beyond their practical use in the film, the firearms in Carlito's Way carry symbolic weight. They represent the inescapable nature of violence in Carlito's world. No matter how much he wants to leave the criminal life behind, he can't escape the fact that violence is always just a trigger pull away. The guns also represent the weight of the past. Carlito carries that detective special because of who he used to be, because of the enemies he made, because of the life he lived. The gun is a physical reminder that you can't just walk away from that kind of past. It follows you, weighs you down, and eventually catches up with you. There's also a tragic irony in the firearms of Carlito's Way. Carlito is trying to avoid violence, trying to go straight, but he's surrounded by men who see violence as the solution to every problem. The guns in the film represent the fundamental disconnect between Carlito's goals and the reality of the world he lives in. Carlito's Way is a masterpiece of crime cinema, and the firearms used throughout the film are an integral part of what makes it so powerful and memorable. From Carlito's Colt Detective Special, to the sawed-off shotgun in the pool hall, to the various revolvers and pistols carried by the supporting characters, every weapon in this film serves a story and helps us understand the characters and the world they inhabit. Brian De Palma's attention to period detail, combined with realistic depictions of violence and the consequences of pulling a trigger, created firearms scenes that are as impactful today as they were in 1993. These aren't just props. They're carefully chosen weapons that reflect the reality of 1970s street crime and the tragic story of a man trying to escape his violent past. What makes these firearms so fascinating is how they reflect the themes of the film. Carlito's Way is about the impossibility of escaping your past, about the weight of the choices you've made, and about the tragic consequences of living a life of violence. The weapons reflect that. They're tools of survival that become instruments of tragedy. So there you have it, the guns of Carlito's Way. From compact revolvers to sawed-off shotguns, these weapons help create one of the most underrated crime films of the 1990s. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Drop a comment below and let me know what your favorite scene from the film was, or if there's another movie you'd like to see covered. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.